West Ham have released a statement ahead of the fan protests. Are they scared? That's the title of the video. And this is going to be an interesting one. My name's Nicky Hawkins. This is the phone-in show. You can get your call in. We've already got a caller lined up. We've already got 2 callers lined up, and very interesting callers they are. But Dan, before we bring in our first caller, our first guest, a very, very interesting statement that was released today.
Yeah, I mean, it's more the timing of the statement than the context is telling. Not surprising. Doesn't fill me with any sort of satisfaction of like, oh, they understand they're addressing it. It's they're in full on defense mode. And listen, with everything that's going on, it's not surprising. Obviously, we got the OK jerseys sponsoring it today, and listen, it's appropriate because listen, if all I'm saying is if you want some football shirts, but you don't necessarily want to line some people's pockets, code Nicky, 8% off. That's all I'm saying. I can't. I'm not sure. You know what I mean? I'm not encouraging. I'm just saying if you don't want to give your money to certain people, there are some shirts there that you might like. West Ham.
Yeah. There we go. So good afternoon, Nicky, Dan, and all the chat. Looking forward to this. As I said, ask for the link. You can get your call in later on in the show. And as I said, we'll just keep them going until we've run out of callers. But let's get our first guest in. Very appropriate as the protests are coming this Saturday. And this man's going to clear it all up, and he wants to go over the statements. He wants to go over everything. So let's welcome Bubbles. Paul Colburn from Hammers United is in. So Dan.
Boom, boom, boom. Welcome,
there
Paul.
We go. Paul.
Fellas, thanks for having me on. Nice to see you.
No thanks for
worries,
coming, mate. We've been wanting to get you on or someone from Hammers United on for a while. Like the protests have been coming up, and I think everyone's keen to just find out as much about it as possible to know how they can get involved. And I said just all the good work that you're doing to try and implement change in this football club. So, we appreciate the work you do, mate.
Well, thank you. There's a lot of people behind it. Well, obviously, you want to get to the statement. But can I have 5 minutes before that, just to sort of give a bit of background?
Of course you can.
Yeah. So look, I'm online with you guys. What I'm protesting about is I love West Ham, and these people have ripped and continue to rip the guts out of it. They've ripped our soul out, and they've ripped our heart out. That's why I protest. But you look into it a bit more, okay? They have failed abjectly, as well as ripping bloody guts out of the club. You look at their own 10-point pledges, and I went through that on another podcast the other day. They've failed. They've failed. Point 6, and 2 of them are laughable. But point 6, I think it is to raise the profile of the club. And point 7 is to make it enjoyable to watch the football and come to the stadium. We won a trophy. Listen, we all loved it. I got drunker than most. We had a great time, but we know between us, we didn't beat Dortmund or Real Madrid or Barcelona. Papered over the cracks. And I'll touch on the football in a few minutes, because the football, by and large, has also been abject failure. But what was the catalyst for these protests? Well, what it was, guys, wasn't it? We had a terrible season last year, and West Ham fans knew that there needed to be an awful lot of expenditure in the summer to put things, give us half a chance. We played Tottenham the other day. They had an England international striker who was sick, thank God, Solanke. They brought on a Brazilian international striker. We've got strikers that we don't deem able to start or last, the match. We've got Callum Wilson, and we've got a German fella. We were within touching distance of Tottenham 7 or 8 years ago. We'll never catch them now, never. Just ain't going to happen. So the fans wanted a good spend, and they never got a good spend. Okay, it was the 12th highest. But what made it worse was that they gaslighted us again, didn't they? They tried to make out that they couldn't buy players because of PSR. And as the transfer window went on, it became apparent. Everyone knew they'd told us lies, basically, all the financial experts.
Well, do you know? Let
There's
me
no
let me
doubt
just
about
let me just back up your statement there, Paul, because I was talking about this the other day. PSR came into play at the summer, right? So I'll ask you this, and I'll ask anyone that's watching this got any doubts about these statements that they made about PSR. What happened to the £70 million bid we put in for Duran in January? What happened to that?
Yeah.
It got dismissed. It didn't get over the line, but apparently there was PSR issues, right? But categorically, before we'd sold Kudus, before we'd even known we were selling Kudus, they'd put a £70 million bid in for Duran, right? Whether that was a bit of smokescreen, bit of a bit of trickery to try and make it look like they're trying. Obviously, they missed out on Duran in the summer. But if that is categorically true, and that came out of the club, what happened to the £70 million that they put down in January for Duran? Where is it? Why weren't it PSR issues then, and it is now? Tell me that, because I still can't get my head around it. We had the same thing a couple of years before that. But go on, mate. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
I want to come at it from a different angle, and obviously none of us know the truth. In my opinion, they're cash strapped. It's quite apparent. They haven't got the money, and none of them are prepared to put it in. But the fact is, they gaslighted the fans again, and they used PSR, and they got found out. So consequently, we're not equipped for this season. We're going to have another season, basically staggering around like zombies to come 15th or 16th, going out of the cups early. We're only in 2 cups. We're out one already against Wolves reserves, and everyone's got the ump. And we were inundated, Hammers United, of course, to protest. So obviously that's what we've got to do. So as you know, we started the No More BS bullshit Brady Sullivan campaign. We wrote to Sullivan and Brady, 3-line letters, resign. Sullivan always replies. He always replies within 5 minutes. And he replied that he was working 18 hours a day on the transfer window. We didn't get a reply from Brady. We also wrote to Mr. Trip Smith, and we wrote to Vanessa Gold. A lot of people don't realise Vanessa Gold is the co-chair, you know.
Yes.
Co-chair yeah. And we wrote to Mr. Kretinsky, suggesting that it would be a good thing for the board if Sullivan and Brady stepped down from their duties, and that professional people, probably a chief executive officer, what do they call the football
director?
It's a term for it. The football guy anyway, to come in, and we didn't receive replies from that. And at much the same time, the fan advisory board, as you probably know, well, you do know, they made a vote of no confidence, and they sent that to the directors. And that's a big thing. Right? We deal with Hammers United's counterparts all over the country, some pretty powerful bunches, Liverpool, Everton, Man United, Man City, some pretty heavy gangs there. They couldn't believe it. They said, fan advisory board did what? And I know there's a few people out there, and everyone's entitled to an opinion, so you shouldn't stay in the fan advisory board. But I disagree, and I'll tell you why. We've got a fan advisory board here, and it's a big thing. They've produced a vote of no confidence in the board. Well, if we all pulled out and you had a load of saps in there instead, then you'd have a letter saying how well the board's doing. You don't want that. So on from that, of course, the club agreed to meet the fan advisory board against the background of their vote of no confidence and Hammers United starting protests. Now, you've seen the minutes, but I will vouch. I know Andy Payne very well. This man is so professional and clever and committed, you wouldn't believe it. And he's got a good team there as well. There's a lot of other good people on that fan advisory board. I've been critical in the past, their predecessors, but they're doing a good job. And I can assure you they went in there, they didn't doff their caps. They went in there professional, and they read out a statement. Now, I'll be very quick, but it's common knowledge. I've got to put my glasses on. I hate this. Someone said to me a few years back, you put your glasses on, you look about 70. The thing is, I am 70 now, but I still don't like it. So look, basically what they said was, when will the club move to a professional governance model? chief executive officer, and that was the word I was looking for, director of football. What credible financial strategy did they have to enable consistent squad investment? Deal of the century? No. Terrible match day experience, terrible ticketing, way the fans are treated. Heritage and culture, I'll come back on that heavy. Where's the museum that was promised? Strategic vision? What's the vision for West Ham on and off the pitch? What are they doing to ensure genuine supporter engagement? What's the club's long-term footballing vision? Now, I think they were good points.
Yep.
Now, what I won't criticise the club for, you've got to think this through, is they've come back, you'll see it in the minutes there. They said, OK, we'll get back to you at the next meeting. It's not unreasonable. That's not unreasonable. And I took exception, I pulled them out. Someone on a forum said, you've been fobbed off. They've not been fobbed off. They've not had a reply yet. Fobbed off is if they go in there and the club say, yeah, we do this, that, and the other, and they doff their cap, say, that's great. And then Hammers United say, well done, we call off the protest. That's fobbed off.
Mm-hmm.
They've not been fobbed off. Nothing's happened yet. But now we come on to the statement. Oh, this is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So here we are calling for Sullivan and Brady to step down because they're incompetent and they're not up to the job. And somebody at the club, now it's either got to be Brady or if it was Tara Warren or someone else, Brady's had to sign it off. This statement is laughable. Okay? It's condescending, it's insulting. And I was a postman, guys, right? I weren't a high up postman manager. I was one of them guys you see walking around with a red sack buckling at the knees in the pouring rain, right? I could have written much better than that. And I could have done it in about 15 minutes as well. So let's have a good look at it, shall we? But I have to say, they have, and Brady did it before. Remember when we were in the concessions campaign?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She did a car crash of an interview on the telly, didn't she? Car crash of an interview.
Yeah.
They've done it again because it will just add to our cause. People can see once more the way they treat the fans, think of the fans, insult the fans.
To say,
and it's rubbish. It's rubbish.
Paul, I was just about to say they've really thrown some fuel on the fire here. This is, I read it and I couldn't believe my eyes. I'll be honest with you, I didn't read it from the official West Ham account. But what I did read it on, I thought it was one of them mock things that someone sort of like. I was expecting at the bottom to say, and David Sullivan told all you peasants to fuck off or something like that. You know what I mean? That's what I was expecting it to be added. I could not believe what I was reading. But go on, mate. I'll let you go on. Sorry, I don't.
The point is that Hammers United, like you guys, we're all volunteers.
Yeah.
And I've got some very clever people there. I'm not one of them. But when I write something, I'll send it to someone else to have a look at. West Ham, a massive company. Someone should have had to sign this off. Let's have a little bit of a look at it. So look.
Dan, can we put it up on the screen at all?
Well, it's a big, long.
It's a long. Okay.
No,
all right.
I can show you that. Focus on building a team that can once again, compete consistently in domestic competitions in Europe. Well, they've been there 15 years, and that we won in Prague, and it was great. We know that. You had a couple of good years under Moyes, which was, I think, down to Moyes, not them really. But anyway, once again, compete consistently. Well, I said this the other day, we did a survey a little while back. A survey a long while back, Hammers United, asking the fans what they wanted. And actually, what most of the fans wanted was a new football ground.
Yeah.
But on the playing side, 11% wanted to win a European trophy. 53% wanted to win a domestic trophy, which of course is the FA Cup. 15 years they've been there. Now, do you think we might have made a cup final? Well, let me tell you. I know the top six usually monopolise it. But remember, world-class team for world-class stadium. We were supposed to be pushing that top six.
Yeah.
I'll also point out to you guys that Wigan has won it in that 15 years. Wigan Athletic won the cup. Leicester won it. And Watford got to the final. And Hull got to the final. And I think they made extra time.
Mm.
Yeah. So we made a final? No. Well, we made a semi-final. Oh. We must have got to a few quarterfinals. We got to one. That was at the Boleyn, by the way. So in 15 years, we got to a quarterfinal. Now let's look at the League Cup, because let's be honest, the big teams don't play their best team till the semi-final. So we must have got to a few semi-finals. In the League Cup, we got to a final? No. We got to a semi-final, won, and we lost to Man City 9-0. So what does their statement say? Building a team that once again can compete consistently. Balderdash. They've never competed bloody consistently. Next one. Steps have already been taken to implement a new strategy approach, particularly in the area of player recruitment. What do they mean? They took Steiden on and then sacked him. I mean, what's just happened in player recruitment? Was it good or was it bad? What's the goalie looking like? Balderdash. We have appointed Graham Potter. He's going to have a continued focus on young players from our academy. What, like probably the best player in the close season? Potsy. Didn't get a look in. Balderdash. Let's have a bit further. I'm getting to the best one soon. Oh, we continue to work with supporters to improve the matchday experience. Well, to be fair, recently, there's small shoots that there might be some progress through the FAB. This is after 15 years, right? We're still miles from the pitch. Our ends, our home sections have got away fans all over the place. Every bloody game, on a Monday after a game, I'm inundated with calls from people who've been banned. And in my opinion, a lot of them people shouldn't have been banned. And I'll tell you something else. What's natural justice? What happens is you get banned, you're supposed to get a letter and it says, look, this is what you've been up to. Here's the evidence, what you've got to say for yourself. No, they just get a letter saying they're banned. And I'll tell you, the appeal thing is a disgrace. Because I've seen some of the evidence that's gone to appeals. You go to appeal at Tottenham, they've got a fan advisory board, FSA person on it.
Yeah.
Shambles. So continue to work with supporters to improve it. Rubbish. We did a recent survey that you'll know of, guys. And part of it was people who didn't renew. Why didn't they renew? Only 19% didn't renew because of the crap football. Okay, 64% didn't renew because of the matchday experience. Right, next one. They've invested tens of millions in our training bases. Now, actually, I don't know the figures. What I do know is ours is 29 acres and Arsenal and Chelsea's is nearly 4 times as big. But I'd ask the FAB, please, because I'm sure some of them will listen, to ask for clarification of that, because I don't believe they have spent bloody tens of millions. And whoopee, they've put 4 million to completely renovate Chadwell Heath. Leicester spent 100 million on their training ground. Man City, okay, they're different quality, 170 million. Balderdash. This is probably the best one. The biggest strength of the men's first team training facility at Rush Green is the unique, intimate atmosphere enhanced by the people within it. What the hell does that mean? Does it mean that Charlie, who sweeps the floor, gives them racing tips? Does it mean Ethel, who does the tea, gives them an extra chocolate biscuit? What does it mean? I don't know what it means.
What that means, Paul, I'm going to tell you exactly what that means. That means we ain't got a big complex like Leicester City, but we've got a load of porter cabins in a field, and all the players have to pass through every single one of them and speak to everyone before they get to their training. That's what that means.
It's unbelievable.
Listen, I've been not just Rush. Well, yeah, it is Rush Green. I've been to Rush Green training ground. I remember having the groundsman take me round. And I was working for a contractor at the time that had the contract for West Ham United, and he knew who I was, and he obviously knew who I was, and he'd seen me criticising the training ground, and he took me round, and he was sort of pointing it out and saying, "Is it as bad as you think? Is it?" And I was walking around. I didn't want to insult the man. I was thinking, yes, it is. It's every bit as bad as I thought it would be, and more. They had a nice kitchen. I'll give them that, and they made a nice cup of tea. That was it.
Well, groundsman, he's to do with the bloody pitches and that. No one said, the pitches are shit. The whole facility is just tin pot, mate.
Yeah. But I'm just saying
that's the next one. Sorry. The next one is they're proud of their current financial outlook. Well, that's mind-boggling. They've just taken out the facility to borrow another 200 million if they want. In the last accounts available, we are owed 63 million for players. We owe 190 million for players. I pointed this out before, but it's one of my favourites. When we were doing the concessions campaign, so it would have got even worse now. It's a year on. Spurs' commercial income went up 172 million in 10 years. West Ham's went up 28 million in the same period. I've said it before. I have to say this one. I love it. one of my friends on Hammers United uses this analogy. So there you are, you're in the family house, mum and dad live there, grandparents live there. You've always loved the family house, it's great. You're going to flog it. You're going to flog your house and you're going to rent somewhere. So you flog the house and you go in this rented place. No one likes it much, but you've got loads of cash. Buy a new car, you buy the missus a new car, go out for a couple, 2-3 meals a week, 5 holidays, you've got loads of cash. What West Ham have done, they've flogged the family home. They're now in rented accommodation that no one likes, most people hate, but they're skint. It's quite an achievement. So proud of our current financial outlook, cobblers. Average net spend. Well, this is the best one. Average net spend of 100 million per season over the last 3 seasons. Well, most people use that transfer market site. So this season, I won't go into it too much because it's easily remembered. You know, it's only happened a couple of weeks back. We've spent this season 48-50 million. Okay. Last season, yeah, we spent 144. We received 100. We received 46 because we sold Downs, Benrahma, Kehrer, and Trott. So last season was a net spend, a good spend of 98. The season before, we sold Declan. Yeah, but we also sold Shamaka, Vlasic, Fornells, Masuaku, and Coventry. They made a net profit of 26. So, guys, if you add 48, 98, and a profit of 26, that's 120 over 3 years, 40 a year. Now, they're saying 100 a year. Now, look, I can make mistakes. You know, there might be a few little bits and bobs there, but come on, that's absolutely nowhere near. Absolutely gaslighting people. But it gets worse, right? It gets worse because the next one is they're proud of their history, right? So they promised it's all in right in a museum in 2018. It's not happening.
Yeah.
Right. Where's the Bobby Moore collection? Where's Hurst and Peters medals? I know where they are, but I'm not going to say. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But what they aren't is young kids. Young kids probably don't even know we won the World Cup. That should be there for everyone to see. Okay. But Hammers United, I'll blow our own trumpet. We've had 3 major things we've done. Concessions campaign, we obviously played a big part. Okay. We did the biggest march ever in the UK, and we're going to beat that soon. See, one other thing we've done. I got a phone call that someone had found this massive crest, and it was in storage in Kent. And it turned out it was off the Bobby Moore stand, the great big one you used to see there in the corner.
Yeah.
So West Ham must have flogged it. And we saw it. And we wrote to West Ham. We said, "You want to buy it? Because if you don't, we will." We never got a reply. It was stagnating there. The only interested buyer was a Yank, and he was going to take it out of the country. So we said, "Right, we'll raise the money." We started asking the fans, and then someone, no, fuck it, I'll say who it was. It was Andy Payne. Andy Payne bought it out of his own pocket. But we'd already raised £1,000. So I said, "Andy, just pay £1,000 less." And it was 8,750 quid. Okay. Club didn't want to know, didn't even reply. So West Ham supporters then, our members, got it free of charge. Someone's house, he stored it. A fella called Sean Burke did it all up. What's the word? Refurbished it.
Refurbished it, yeah.
Free of charge. It took us years because we had to get planning permission, and I'd sussed it. I cracked it. And right at the death, I was on my knees, right? Imagine you put a picture up on your stairs in the hall.
Yeah.
The picture protrudes 2 inches, doesn't it? And this crest's about to, we had to go through it all again. But it took 3 years. We had to get cranes. But you go down to Upton Park now, it's outside where the South Bank was on the gym. West Ham didn't want to know. That is how much they're proud of our bloody history. And finally, loyal supporters, the same supporters that only West Ham and Villa put the age up so you could get a concession for you know, the only 2 teams, the same supporters that they tried to take concessions away last year. And I'll finish on this, talking about proud of their supporters. And Brady, who either wrote this or signed it off, right? Do you remember when we played Arsenal some years ago now? I think we took the lead. It was a night match and we got tonked. And we've all gone there. We've all got the we've all spent a lot of money. A lot of people travel a long way now. And in the paper the next morning, Brady did an article showing off the cheese board at Arsenal, saying how marvellous it was. And the same year, we had Stoke at home, and that was a night match. And it was an important relegation game, right? Now, in the end, we beat them and we got comfortably clear. But at the time, it was an important relegation game. And at the same time, she's advertising that her new telly programme's there, kicking off the same time as West Ham's playing Stoke.
Yeah.
That is the measure of these people. And that statement is a bloody disgrace. And someone, if I was in charge, I'd sack whoever did it. Sorry.
No, I think you're quite within your rights, mate. But let's talk about this protest then, Paul, because
Sure, yeah.
let's tell everyone. Let's tell everyone where it's, because I'll be going, and I know Dan will be going, and Dan ain't even going to the game. But what are the plans? What are the plans? Because I like many others, mate, have had enough. And we've had many conversations over the years about it, and I've told you so many times that after the last one, I didn't want to get involved, but I have had enough.
Right.
So,
firstly, I'm not going to start with the Palace protest. I'll end with that. Okay. Obviously, you're aware we're doing a boycott against Brentford.
Yep.
And you'll note they're doing kids for £1.
Yeah.
It's really well supported so far. I'm quite surprised how well it's supported. And you may know really encouraged by this. There's a site on Facebook, West Ham Tickets Home and Away or something, and their sole function, them guys, if you're not going to Brentford, you list your ticket. And they've said they're not listing any tickets for Brentford, which is very encouraging. I can now tell you, I believe that Burnley at home is definitely a Saturday. So you're not allowed to use the word march, but on your show, I'll use the word march. We will march that day. We've set ourselves, we got 8,750 last time. We were convinced we'd get 15,000 the next. COVID came. Takes a lot of organisation, guys. You've got to walk the route. You've got to walk the route out with the police. You've got to have megaphones. You've got to have stewards. But we will be doing that against Newcastle. So, sorry, Burnley. Burnley's the Saturday game. So please put that in your diaries. Away games won't happen overnight. We've got some flags. The flags arrived today, which I'll be taking down there Saturday. It will take time to get more flags in, but we're going to start taking flags and black balloons again to away games. Right, Palace. Hammers United. Okay. Hammers United will meet by the director's entrance on Marshgate Lane from 12:45. Some of us will be in the Carpenters from 11 o'clock. We will leave the Carpenters sharp 12:20. One thing I don't do late. So I can assure everyone we will be there. We've said 12:45. We'll be there 5-10 minutes before that. We will be by the director's entrance and we will line Marshgate Lane, going back to Pudding Mill Lane, mostly that way. But there's many, as far as we've got people to line. And we'll also line it a short distance the other way. Okay, that's that. We've got 30 flags to give out. And what we've done, we tried to be clever. We've got a couple of big ones, but what we've got flags that are 3 foot by 2 foot. So you take them in an away game, just go like that, like a one woman flag.
Yeah.
We've got 30 of them to give out, but we're going to try and give them out to people to go away games. That makes sense. So we'll be there then. We'll have 3 megaphones. And obviously the idea is, I doubt very much we'll see the board because they will, whatever time you say, they'll be there way before that. And that's something.
Do you think there's a case they may not turn up?
I think they might not turn up. Personally, I think they'll be there about 11 in the morning.
I have heard they've been advised to stay away, so it wouldn't surprise me if they were cowardly enough to not show their faces.
Maybe. I've heard they're going to be there very early, but who knows? Who knows? And when we talk about the board and emotions run, I must say, guys, it must be peaceful. We've done quite a few protests to our credit. We were the only ones that carried on after COVID. But we've never had one arrest. Even when we had nearly 9,000 there, not one arrest. Real carnival atmosphere. We can't have people getting out of hand because Sullivan and Brady would love it. They would become the victims then. We would be a load of hooligans, and they would be the victims. So hopefully we'll catch some of the board. We can, shout and holler a bit. We can't overdo it. Undoubtedly, we'll get some of the press, and the press will see for themselves the strength of feeling from the West Ham fan base. Obviously, without doubt, the team coach will come by. We'll give them a big cheer. Something I have to stress here, guys, is that every time we've protested, the team have played well.
Yeah.
And when we had our big protest, that was before we played Southampton, who were half decent then. And it was the only win the team had in 11 games. The only win in 11 games was when we protested. So don't let anyone say that a protest could put the team off. So that's Hammers United. Now, there's two other things going on, and I'll tell you what I know best of all. I know Chris Mills well at Cross Hammers. He's a good guy. And some of them are going to walk down together, sort of thing, from Stratford Station to join us. And they're leaving Stratford Station at 12:30.
Yeah, I think we've got Chris Mills on for you, haven't we, Dan?
Yeah.
So Chris will be here in a minute.
Chris Mills, he's a good fella. And lastly, which you can't really get involved in, but it's still a good sign, is a fella called Aaron, and they call themselves Ironworks Tours. They've got a boat. It's already booked up, so they can't, what's done is done. But I'm meeting him early doors, give him some flags, and they're going to stop the boat underneath one of the bridges where we're all standing over to show their support and solidarity.
Yeah.
So I think I've covered everything there. I've spoke to the you'll be aware that it's a real feeding frenzy with the press. Press are really onto this. I spoke to the Evening Standard today, and they'll be running it on tomorrow evening. And I spoke to the Telegraph yesterday, and they'll be running it over the weekend.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
that's all we need. One last thing, that for people who are unsure how to get there, you just get off at Pudding Mill Lane Station. You'll probably hear the megaphones, but you get off at Pudding Mill Lane Station. You come out, you do a left, and there's a sort of tunnel, sort of bridge type thing. You go under that, just a few yards the other side of that, it's Marshgate Lane, and you do a left. It's a 5-minute walk from Pudding Mill Lane Station.
Okay,
perfect.
Brilliant.
Listen, Paul, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on. We hope we can have you on again in the future, because it's really insightful. There's a lot of stuff that was, even me, I wasn't aware of a lot of it. Really interesting stuff. And I tell you what, you said you're a bit of a technophobe. Camera worked perfectly. The sound is lovely.
Excellent.
It don't always, mate. I'm murder. Thanks for having me on, and we'll have a chat Saturday morning. And I think it's going to go well. I think we'll get good numbers, and it grows. Can I just end with this? Look, when we got the 9,000, the equivalent protest that we're doing against Palace got 1,500. It takes time. I'm sure we'll get more than 1,500. I think we'll get quite a few more, but it takes time, for the word to spread. Momentum. That's what we need. So great. I'll see you Saturday mornings, and thanks for having me.
We will be there, and I'm sure a lot of people watching will be there as well to support it. It's important.
All right, guys.
And we appreciate you
very much. Cheers, mate.
Thanks a lot. Cheers, bye-bye. Bye.
Well, there we go. That was fantastic from Paul there. It was very insightful. Very insightful.
Yeah. I just had to sit back, and I was just soaking it all in. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that even we're not aware of. So great to have him on. So
you heard where they're meeting. They're meeting at you get off at Pudding Mill Station, and you will hear the megaphones. But there is another group who is headed by a good friend of mine, Nick Tucker. But we've got Chris Mills coming in from Cross Hammers, who was going to tell you a little bit about his protest, and they're all going to meet up together. So don't think you're going to join one and not join the other. It's not a choice. It's all about a protest. But Chris, welcome to the show, mate.
Destination rather than the journey. That's the main thing, isn't it? Right? It's about that destination. Cheers, Chris. Welcome.
You right, Ben?
And see you, mate.
Hello, mate. Are you okay?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, I'm not prepared like Paul is. I've not got a big list of things going on.
That's all right.
More a stitch up by Nick Tucker, who's gone on a jolly and lumbered me with the task of speaking to people. So there we go.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Like, what we wanted to do is come on here. Obviously, we had Paul on. We have you on. Is just because people are seeing a couple of different flyers of this protest, and a different location. We just wanted to clear up all confusion and get, someone from your end on, someone from Paul's end on, and just put it all out there. So we've had obviously Bubbles on saying about Hammers United, how they're starting, where they're going, and obviously it'd be good to you to talk about, what's going on with this Crossed Hammers one. and people just wanting to know, is it a different process? What's happening? How does it connect to the Hammers United?
Yeah, it's all combined, really. I mean, as is more to deliver more people down there altogether. We've done protests in the past. We've walked past the Carpenters Arms. People have been in the beer garden, won't leave. They've just bought around. They're not bothered. So we're going to do the bit where we're going to try and drag as many people as long as possible, as we'll call it, a Stratford stroll. So we'll take a little bit of time to get down there. We'll leave at 12:30. We've got a few banners, and we'll just turn up. Hopefully, make a big scene when we get there, and meet up with the Hammers United. Like, what happens after that? Who knows? I know we're going to be standing outside the directors' gates, but maybe we can all move in after that and maybe make it to the corporate entrance. Who knows? But yeah, we're just, that's what we're doing. It's all combined though. We've done things in the past where Crossed Hammers have done their thing, Hammers United have done theirs. The reason that we kind of done it separately is because we're a little bit more rebellious. So when the big march happened, the 8,000 or whatever it was, we wanted to already be down there. We wanted the club to see us. And I don't know if you remember, it stopped just before it got to Marshgate Lane. And we weren't happy about that. We want the club to see how angry we are. And what they're doing, they're killing the club. They are absolutely destroying it. And like Nicky said, I was watching it a little while ago. As Nicky said, it's got to be done now. Everyone's got to be on board for this, because how far can they push us? I mean, the concessions was bad enough. And we was literally, I went with a Hammers United lot for that. And we was fighting every week. And we're just, there's just no one interested in helping out. I think they've pushed the fans as far as they're ever going to push them. And this is going to be the final straw. So it's do or die, this one.
Yeah,
This will be the start of something massive, hopefully.
Yeah.
Chris, can I just get your reaction to this statement that I've seen this morning? Let me just get your reaction to this. So this is a message to West Ham United supporters. This was sent out yesterday. So it says, West Ham United recognises the views expressed in recent correspondence from supporter representatives on the fan advisory board and wishes to reassure all supporters that we continue to listen to fan feedback and advise them on the steps we are taking for the future and well-being of the club. Now, I know Bubbles read a little bit of it. There's a bit of this out, but it is just 2 years since we lifted the club's first major trophy in 43 years. The UEFA Conference League match, Conference League triumph, came in the middle of 3 successive campaigns in European competition. The first time we've ever achieved that feat. Following that period, significant investments made in the football operation, both on signing the new first-team players and the club's overall scouting network and player recruitment department. Are they throwing flames onto the fire here? Because that is just saying to me, that sounds like, we'll give you that. What the fuck what fuck more do you want?
That is what they'll always do. They're fucking narcissists, Nick. You know that. This is what they kind of, they've always done. They've always done this. It's like, oh, how are you not happy? How are you not happy with this? Well, if we all compare Tottenham and what they've done since they've moved stadium and how they've set up, they put in the big money, they're reaping the rewards. They win a European competition, they get their manager out, they move on, they do everything right. Our club is shit. I mean, any time you've been over to Tottenham, it's like a different world. I know it's still like it's a diamond in a pile of shit, the stadium, because it's unbelievable. But half time, you want a pint, you get one within 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You want to get there early, they'll set up entertainment. What have we got? What have they ever done? I mean, they don't do anything right. They're so bad at everything they do. What they do, they release stuff like this, expecting us to go, oh, you know what? They're right. They're not ever right. It's just bullshit. They're just bullshitting us all the time. And they think this is how they get out of it. Yes, I enjoyed Prague. I see you the day after in that Irish bar, Nicky.
Yeah.
It was fucking brilliant. But what they do? They was lucky to get that, and then we don't ever move on. We keep Moyes for another season. We know whose time was up then, but he's won a trophy. They can't do anything right. And then what they'll do, they'll release statements and expect us all to jump on board. Yeah, it's fine now. Yeah, well, how can we not agree with that?
I think what they try to do is
Yeah.
they try and contain the fire, contain the heat. So you'll notice this week they've released that statement, and listen, we know it's not going to do much for much, but there might be one or two people who go, do you know what, they're right there. Maybe they're right. All of a sudden, Slaven Bilic may be coming back, which then is another distraction. We haven't heard of that for me and Dan have known about that for weeks.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, but conveniently, a couple of days before the protest, that all comes out. It's just one thing after another to try and contain the fire.
Sorry, Nick, this announcement though, for every one person that might say, yeah, they've done a good job, they've pissed
10.
off another 50 people that probably wouldn't have gone. They always make it worse for themselves. They never do a good job of kind of fighting the fire, as you say. How are they so useless? I mean, Karen Brady's been in business for God knows how long, 40 years, and she still don't know how to treat people. I did see a bit of what Bubbles was saying earlier as well. They're pissed off so many fans. I've got a good mate of mine, I know Ryan's had a bit of grief as well recently.
Yep.
They just ban our fans all the time, and they don't try and defend us. They don't ask what happened. One of my mates, he got lied about. He's he walked into the ground. The steward bullshitted, told them that he'd assaulted them, and then they lost the video, like in Ryan's case. All stuff like this. The club do nothing. He's still banned there. They've still not lifted it, even though it's chucked out of court. Because this stadium, they'll blame the LLDC. The LLDC blame the police blame West Ham. It goes round in circles. We don't get anything. It's so badly run. I don't even know, what do we do if they stay here? They can't.
I mean, there are parliamentary people that are meant to be looking after us. I know there's a couple of people like solicitors and things that are, that fight for this sort of thing. Like some of this stuff is got to be, consumer stuff. You know what I mean? Like you would not go to a concert and be treated like the way we're treated. You remember when we first came into the stadium when they was employing MMA fighters to come around in droves. Making you try and sit down, and then if you didn't sit down, they'd fucking punch the shit out of you. These are things that you would not accept in any other business. You bought a ticket to anything, and that started happening, you'd say absolutely not. And there should be people doing that, but these people they're the kings of shooting themselves in the foot, And every time, I do think this, and I said this yesterday, right? I don't think David Sullivan's been out of his house in 20 years, apart from when he goes to the football. I really don't. And I do think that he's so sort of cocooned in that little environment that he just is oblivious to what's going on in the outside world. I'm really convinced of that because he, as you said, someone's got, but ultimately the decision, someone's got to sign all that off. But ultimately the decision has got to be his. He's got to say yes or no. People are not going to be making statements on his behalf.
But this is all of them, Nick. They sit in an echo chamber. There's Brady sitting there going, "Oh well, look at what we've done with these sponsors we've got in," and she'll be sitting with Sullivan going, "You've done a great job of this ticket in here." They just don't understand. They'll never get it because they don't listen to how many engagement groups have we had, fan groups that have kind of, they get so far and then they bin them off and then they set up another one, and it's just they can't do it because they don't want to hear people saying it's shit. And it is shit. And this is the first time, like the protest that Paul was talking about against Brentford. I don't miss games. I've missed probably 10 in 40 years or whatever. I don't miss home games. And I just think, fuck it. Just don't go. Me and my son have this discussion every week. One of my sons don't bother going anymore. He jacked it in. After about 2 years, he just went, this ain't what I'm used to. This ain't West Ham. My older one, every time we come home, why do we bother? Why don't we just stay in the pub? It's such a good point. We would probably have a better time.
Well, John Hawkins, I don't know if he's any relation to me. I've got a cousin called John Hawkins. I hope it's not him. He said, boycott then. You mugs keep on attending matches. Moths to the flame.
Yeah, I don't like that kind of, why don't you just get... But this is a massive part of my life. I'm over 50 years old. I've been going since I was 7 years old. It's very easy to go, just give up. Just don't bother going. Don't put money in their pocket. I'd love to do that, but fucking hell, what would I be doing on a Saturday? Rummaging around the garden and that? It'd be bored out of my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people. What we'll get at the moment as well, Nick, is we'll get a lot of people online as well, just going, "Oh, what's this going to do? What this I won't do no good. This is the kind of thing." So what we do, we have Sullivan's little burner accounts telling everyone how good it is and that we should just be happy. This will all come out the next couple of days. We'll get all this. We'll get the fake news, like you've been saying about Bilic and. Oh yeah, we've got some blueprints for a new design for the stadium. Some bullshit like that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
I know,
nonsense.
I know.
It's just,
But just in terms of your protest, mate, where
yeah,
are you meeting? Just tell everyone where you're meeting.
right. We'll
Where
be
you can find you.
we're going to be at Stratford Station at 12:30. We're going to be leaving at 12:30. So Paul will be meeting these lot at 12:45 outside the gates. We'll be 12:30. We'll take a stroll round to the Carpenters. I think there's an offie there so people can get refueled. So
Yeah,
1 o'clock that'll be done at the Carpenters, and then we'll take a slow walk. Hopefully, getting there for 1:30 at the gates as well to meet up with Paul. Hopefully, there'll be a good couple of thousand waiting for us. Hopefully, we can deliver about 500, but I think it'll just be a good gathering of people. Everyone's got the same intentions. As Paul said, it's non-violent. We don't need anyone kicking off just for the sake of. Sullivan would love that. Brady would love that. Look at these football hooligans. We don't need that. Well, we need everyone to be loud, and we need everyone to voice their discontent at them. And if we're lucky, we might see them. But I don't think we will. I think personally, Dan said they won't bother. If they do, I hope they get a lot of abuse. But even in lockdown, the cross-dammers were there at the gates because good results don't mean anything to us. It just kind of masks over the shit that's going on. So that's what we've always been there at the gates. Lockdown, we was there every home match. We'd see gold now and again. Obviously, we'd see the team come in, we'd cheer them in. We never see Sullivan and we never see Brady, so we don't know how they get in, what time they get in, but maybe that's one for the future to kind of to get them in on their way in. It'd be interesting because I'd like to see them see how much they're disliked. I'm sure they do know deep down, but you can't tell because I think if they did know and they did care, they might have put out a more responsible statement this week because that was a piss take. That was I thought it was a parody. I thought it was a parody statement, and I've seen a Met Police one, which was a parody, saying if you're caught, you might have to stay for 5 years to the end of the 90 minutes, which would be a punishment in itself. I've not made more than 70 minutes this season, so I think that the statement was terrible, and it's just fanned the flames. And hopefully we can get good numbers. So it's good that the one thing on this one, Nick, I had loads of problems getting people interested in concessions. I'm not old enough yet. My boys are too old to worry about concessions, and people just weren't interested. It was hard work, but we've won that battle. Now let's win the war, because this is the important one. We can't have this people running this club. They're like dinosaurs.
Yeah, I agree, mate. But I do agree with the concessions as well. Concessions was, for me, the first real victory. They had to wield. So, it was one of them ones where you sort of start to think, it just shows you, and I think that may do the protest, but it just shows you that the numbers can work, and they have to wield at some point.
Yeah, I know. Big Dave got a load of grief the other day for what he said. Everyone's got their right to think what they think. This is just my idea. The club is dying on its arse. We can all see it. I'll try and kind of hide it because I don't want that to happen, because this club means loads to me. But even I kind of sit back some days and I think, what is the point? What is the point of supporting this bucket of shit? My seat's probably more lower. It's a decent view and that, but I have to walk back, and I walk 50 yards, and then you see the upper tier, and you think, how can they not find a decent resolution to this? How can they not find improvements? And then you compare it to Tottenham.
Because they haven't looked.
They don't care enough.
They don't care enough. Yeah, that's it. That the corporate boxes, I can tell you that for nothing, are very nice. They're
Yeah,
better than
I
us
bet
at
they
heart.
are. Yeah. Well, I tried getting a beer on the first game at half time. They had no, I mean, it's Brewdog as well. So you're queuing up for a shit beer. And I went around, and the first one we queued up, the pumps don't work. And then the second one we queued up for 10 minutes. You got 15 people standing around a pump.
Yeah.
You can't get a beer. So we had to come back at half time late, didn't even get a drink. And you just think, this doesn't happen anywhere else. I swear it don't. It's do they even know? I'd love them to just even put on a GoPro and get someone to walk around and just see how chaotic the searches are, and then how chaotic getting into the turnstiles are, and then trying to get a pint at £7.20 or whatever.
Do you know what it is though? And I'm going to tell you exactly what it is, Chris. Is that as far as they're concerned, that's not their money. They don't care if people get served. If it was Brady and Sullivan's money, then pumps would be working. You'd have a beer in your hand in a minute. And that is where every other club have got that sort of incitement to get them working. You know, every pint that they miss to be poured comes out of that club's pocket. It doesn't come out of West Ham's pocket. They don't give a shit.
No, that's right. That's right. We don't earn anything out of it. The deal was shit. I mean, for them it was brilliant. They don't pay for anything. They pay $2 million a year or something. They get it. It doesn't mean anything because they're not really paying anything for it. And now down the line, how long Spurs been there? 5 years. They're making £1 million a weekend just from beer and food. We're making about 15 grand a year or something.
Weird.
It's a shambles. The deal needs to be changed. The ownership needs to go. They need to redo the deal with the LLDC. We need to run the place. We need to get a deal like Man City. We need to get all that stuff. But it's a pipe dream at the moment because with them in charge, they don't care. They just do not give a shit.
No, we need new owners for that. But thank you very much, Chris. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. Just one more time before you go. Meeting at the Carpenters at 1 o'clock, yeah? 1
o'clock, 12:30 at Stratford Station. Obviously, we've got to get over the bridge to get to the Carpenters. So either or, if you can get to the Carpenters, it'll be just as good. We'll meet up there and we'll take our walk around to the Marshgate Lane.
Yeah.
But we've got a few people in charge of directing us. So if we make it there, this is a bit of a success for us because last time we went the wrong way.
Okay. Well, I'll see you there, mate. I'll be there. But thank you very much.
You're going to Stratford Station, are you? Or are you going
yes, mate. Yeah, I'll be at Stratford Station. I think Dan's going from the other place. So
lovely.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Cheers,
see
mate.
You there.
See you later.
Ta-da. There we go. The link has been sent to a couple more people. I'm going to give them about 5 minutes because we've got about 8 minutes left before we have to finish. So if they can get in now, I'll do that. But I'm going to have to end otherwise. Let me take some of your comments before we do that. Very interesting chats. Very interesting facts and stats made by both men now. And don't forget, go and join one of them. You know, the more that turn up, the more likely it is to succeed. The ball of the stadium owners by the balls. It's not like there's another massive football club they can rent the stadium out to. Absolutely. But they don't have to. That's the problem. And that's always been the problem. They don't have to rent it out. They can just sit there. It loses money anyway. So it doesn't benefit anybody. Chrissy James says, Potter don't need to be involved with the youth. If a player has already been introduced and he needs to be told there, the option is, because of the, I think that was what Bubble said earlier about the youth. I know there's a fake Karen Brady in there, there's a fake Sean Dyche in there, there's a fake David Sullivan. They're all having sort of secret conversations, but won't get involved in any of that. Elliot says, exclude McKenna from the list too. Talked about the managers. Karen said, your hard-earned money, go for the cheap and better option in Dyche or Bilic. Okay, it doesn't look like the other two are going to come in. And we really haven't got any time left. I know Dan's had to leave. He's had to rush out. So we're going to leave it there unless someone comes in within the next minute. I'm going to give it a minute and then we're going to start ending up. But what did you send? What did you send? I'm reading a comment. What did you think about the two gentlemen that have just come now? You know, why they're protesting, what their board have promised, what they've not promised, and what they've not delivered. Tell us in the comment section down below. And again, I'm just going to start wrapping it up now. Thank you to OK Jerseys for sponsoring this video. as Dan said, if you don't want to put money in certain people's pockets, you can always go there to get your claret and blue. But there we go. But thank you very much for joining us on this call-in show. I'll be back again next week. And for the members, there'll be a podcast tomorrow with Dom for the Hammer It Out podcast, and we'll be discussing a couple of these bits as well. We'll be building up for the Palace game, which we've already had a Palace build-up, but obviously Friday Night Pint tomorrow as well. But thank you very much. Like this video, it really helps the algorithm. If you can hype it, hype it. But thank you very much for joining us. One thing left for us to say, come on, you irons.